Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ESL One Cologne major offline qualifier here in Katowice. We are still trucking through our series of games that include teams with 1 win and 1 loss, and this next one is definitely going to be a bit of a cracker. I alluded to it earlier on, it is going to be West versus East. The first team to take the stage for this match will be Cloud9. Starting off strong against Empire, of course, on our first day. A little bit of a capitulation towards the end of that game, but they did come out 16-12. Yesterday, oh God help us nothing. Yesterday, Cloud9 took on a united front. Mousesports looking far more impactful than we had seen from them before, and in the end, they were just too strong. But Cloud9 still have a chance here, of course, to pick up another game, go 2-1, and who knows, we might even have an NA face-off tomorrow. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves, because their opponents from China, it's TyLoo. A rough start for the Chinese in day one, of course, going up against G2 on Cash. The CT side was great, we saw plenty of aggression from them, but poor economic management let them down in the long run, and the T side fell apart. However, they got another crack at Cash yesterday up against the Immortals, and this was a much better performance. Their T side looked massively improved as well, and they were working with their economy smartly. We got to chat to them after the game as well. This means a heck of a lot to them as well, and they'd love to be 2-1 themselves. Alex, we've seen a heck of a lot from TyLoo already, from a bit of a shaky start to some big improvements yesterday. They're evolving quite rapidly through this tournament.
I mean, it's hard not to love TyLoo, Mitch. I've already, you know, it's no secret that I am a little bit of a TyLoo fanboy. But, I do that. Okay. It's no secret that I'm a bit of a TyLoo fanboy, but it would be great to see Cloud9 at another major. Who you put Pip in for?
It depends what maps pick, to be honest.
Okay.
I think TyLoo's Cash has now been rounded out well, but I think it's pretty unlikely that Cloud9 are going to let that one through. They've been watching, I know it. And to them, of course, this means a heck of a lot. They've already got one NA team on 2-1. They'd love to be joining them, so I think TyLoo will struggle a lot here. Cloud9 is my pick.
Surely not TyLoo are going to get Cash 3 maps in a row. I mean, I don't think that that's going to happen. I've got the desk to talk it through. They've found success on it once. They look good on it. It's the first time as well versus G2. I don't think that's a mistake that Cloud9 would make, but off air, you guys are nodding along thinking that it's actually a possibility.
Yeah, well, it's a map both teams like, but it's like you said, TyLoo, first off, we've only seen them play this map at the qualifiers, so, you know, the Cloud9 has information on them. That is something they could use to their advantage, but we've also seen how good TyLoo can be on that map, which should scare Cloud9. And Cloud9 have shown willingness to play pretty much every map, you know, in the entire map pool up to this point, barring Nuke. So they have tons of opportunities, a ton of other ability, or you know, some maps available for them to actually go through with, instead of having to go into what looks like TyLoo's strongest map.
So, I mean, you have to kind of reflect on what we have seen from TyLoo, because admittedly, you've seen a whole lot more from Cloud9.
Yeah,
we see Cloud9 play all the time. TyLoo, it's been what, Malmo, whatever we can dig
PGL
up from
Minor.
the PGL Minor, and then here.
Yeah.
And so their map pool, what have we seen? Like, what haven't we seen? Let's try and work out where this could go.
Well, they don't play Train. That's
okay.
That's something we know, and they're not too fond of Nuke either, at least judging from here. But we saw what Hellraisers did to us. But Nuke has been banned twice in the upcoming games here.
Yeah.
Other than that, they're pretty open to play most things. Dust 2 has primarily been played versus other Chinese teams.
Yeah.
But they've busted out both Mirage and Cobble in international tournaments.
Metis, why don't you do me a favor and walk us through the TyLoo squad?
Yes, you've got Fancy, Captain Mo, Somebody, DD, and Attacker. They're all capable of crazy plays, I think it's safe to say, but for me, I think the pick's probably Fancy or Somebody, especially what we saw on Cash the previous 2 times. Very aggressive plays, pretty crazy plays actually against G2 to start off with before it started to go landslide against them. They were 7-3 up on their CT side, everything looked fantastic, and then I think it was a force buy that derailed them, and then suddenly the momentum was taken away from them. But then they beat Immortals. Immortals are a team that have beat Cloud9 on Cash before. So again, you're looking at this and you're thinking, surely it can't be Cash for a 3rd time. Let's force them into somewhere else. The problem is with TyLoo is, a lot of their stats are kind of skewed because it's against, you know, Chinese mixed teams. It's against a lot of the Chinese teams, Immunity Renegades, teams like that. It's not against the top tier teams. So it's hard to really gauge where they are strong, where they are weak.
It's kind of funny. I think TyLoo has 3 players in the top 10 worldwide ranking, like rating last 3 months, something to that effect. And that's obviously not an accurate depiction of how the standings actually are, but that's what happens when you look at stats
their
only.
region.
Exactly, yeah, and they they can't really be at fault for that. They have to play games in their own region as well. But they've definitely shown multiple times that all of the players on that team are very capable of actually playing versus the best teams in the world.
So with Cloud9, now just seeing as well, Optic finds success as well, you know, this battle for King of North America. Let's talk a bit about Cloud9. And some of the critiques that we've been throwing at them are their weaknesses on the attacking side, Vince. It does seem like we are constantly wailing on, you know, a very unstable T side and quite a convincing CT side.
That stems back from a while, actually, when Nothing was taking over the reins as a shot caller. They had some shocking T halves. Like, they were getting 1 or 2 rounds at max. You know, I don't think it's unfair to say. But since Slammies came in, since they have Kanji as well, who's obviously making some of the shots, they have definitely upped their game, and so is Nothing. A lot of that stress is taken off his shoulders. Now he can focus purely on fragging, and he has been playing better as a result. Yesterday, we saw Skadoodle step up. You know, a guy that sometimes can be quite quiet, and obviously the AWPer for the team. It's really important on a map like Cash that he performs again here today.
And that does bring up the name at the bottom of the list as well. In-game leadership passed over to Slemmy. A lot of responsibility for a rather, well, it's safe to say, inexperienced member of the squad. However, you can't help but feel, in fact, you can see them talking right there. You saw Kanji and Slemmy having a bit of a dialogue. I can't help but feel that has really softened the blow for Slemmy. Wouldn't you say, Hal, for having that, it seems like a bit of a trend growing in Counter-Strike to have this back and forth, a dialogue between 2 faces. I mean, you think of your Fallen, your Zeus, and even in Na'Vi when you have Zeus and Starix talking it out.
No, absolutely. It's nice to have someone you can bounce IDs off of, and depending on, you know, obviously everybody has a different idea of how they want to play Counter-Strike and what might work versus certain setups or certain strategies. So having someone who can give you or shine a new light onto a situation that you're struggling with is, you know, pretty much priceless. So that's definitely probably eased the transition for Slemmy coming in as a in-game leader into a completely new team. That's a pretty daunting task. So having Kanji there, who has, you know, a ton of experience from playing in EG and 1.6, that's going to be a massive help.
And the maps are coming through, so I'll make this point in just a moment. Train already taken away by the Chinese side. Back to you guys, though, as this goes out.
Yeah, well, this is what their standard band. Yeah. I'm assuming Nuke is going to be the second one. Overpass going out from Cloud9. Cloud9, kind of knowing what they're going to veto is a bit up in the air because, like we said, they're kind of willing to play everything. Yep. So at this point, it would make sense for them to veto out a lot of their strong maps. Surprisingly, they haven't taken out Cash yet. But they still have 1 ban to go. And there's the nuke map from TyLoo. I would expect Cobble to be the next veto from TyLoo simply because that's a map that is actually the only map that Cloud9 doesn't really veto out. But okay, they're going to go with Dust too.
It's Cobble or Cash. Could we really see TyLoo find another game on Cash? That would be 3 in a row.
I feel like this would be a mistake.
Cloud9, and given how Cloud9 hasn't actually vetoed Cobblestone yet.
Oh, no.
You'd think that this is the way they would go. Like they could have a Cobblestone game, which would be a really good map for them right now.
Don't do it.
But it seems like they're tempting fate right here. If they're going to give Cash to TyLoo, this is going to be a crazy, crazy game.
I mean, let's play devil's advocate. Should Cash go through? There's plenty of examples in them, of TyLoo on their Cash. They've probably got a good read. It's happened. Okay, so Cloud9 fancy their chances versus a Cash game that destroyed Immortals, got close, versus G2. It's a big statement made by the North Americans.
I tell you what, I'm surprised, but from a spectator's viewpoint, from a neutral's viewpoint, this is probably the best map to watch between these 2 teams. Like, this should be fire, like straight up fire.
All right, straight up fire.
Gangster, mate.
Just like your new mixtape.
Yeah, okay, it's coming up soon.
Like the least gangster person ever in the world. But
I mean, I'm sure there's a few that could battle for that. Blue is another example of someone that could not be any less gangster if he tried. Let's move though into kind of what this means with Cash and where the strength of TyLoo's Cash. Because I mean, if you have just tuned in, you didn't catch the first 2 examples of TyLoo at play. We just want to walk through why this Cash game was quite impressive. And of course, I don't want to get stuck on that same bad economy versus G2. That point is moot. Let's talk about where their strengths lie.
Their strengths are, first off, they're actually really efficient in how they actually take control over the map. So even though they don't do it too often, their mid-takes are very quick and nimble to the point where they actually don't give the CDs a lot of room to breathe. And they can also vary their pace when they're playing. So you can't really sit back and relax like you might fall into the trap of doing versus other teams like Na'Vi or Flipside. You always have to be constantly worried. They have a really good and fast execute towards the B bomb side, which we saw them do versus Immortals that caught them off quite a few times. Whether that's down to the fact that Immortals, for the large part of the game, played very passively on the B side is obviously something we don't really know, but they definitely have well thought through and methodical executes towards both sides.
It's crazy that TyLoo, should they win this, and this is just an if, they would then be one win away from getting to the major by playing one map alone. Yep. Of course, that does not take into account the minor system, but still, that's great. That's crazy stuff.
Well, I mean, at that point, you could probably fault their opponents more than TyLoo is just working with what they've been giving, right? So if nobody's going to actually respect TyLoo enough to remove cash, then that's their own fault.
And now, I just want to come back to that point I was going to make before the vetoes did go down. Right, Cloud9 have got plenty of examples of TyLoo's cash. If you were, I mean, this is a bit of an open question, but if you were in Cloud9's shoes and you knew you were going up against TyLoo, like they knew this last night, they have got an entire evening, an entire morning, an afternoon, in fact, it's now closing on 6 o'clock. They've had plenty of time to build a game plan around cash, knowing TyLoo full well would happily play cash. I mean, how would you anti-strat this? What were the weaknesses we could exploit? G2 exploited middle, but...
Yeah, I think that's middle. It has to be middle. I think if you play aggressive in middle through TyLoo, they are a very quick team, but I feel if the opening 10-15 seconds in a confrontation doesn't go their way, they typically lose out. They're not very good at battling back in the round. Go for counter boosts, go for pushes through garage, use smokes, use flashes, try and catch them unawares as they transition, because as Ven said, they are very adaptive with their speed. So keep them caught in two minds. Don't let them dictate the pace of the action. That's the best way of beating TyLoo and Cash. Yeah,
and what we saw as well, when they slowed things down and started focusing more heavily on the B-bomb site versus Immortals, they pretty much left one guy alone. It was either Attacker or Fancy who was left alone in A-main for the better part of it. And if that's a current trend, that's definitely something Cloud9 can explore and potentially abuse with late pop flashes into A-main mid-round, just to get map control and put pressure on TyLoo instead of just letting them have the freedom to set up for their executes and whatnot. So putting pressure on the CT side, that could definitely be helpful for Cloud9. But yeah, T side, that's mid. Like Vince mentioned, that's pretty much where the big gap is.
And the man on your screen is going to be instrumental to that as well. He is going to need to be putting down some serious firepower. I think, again, this is going to be crazy close. Very difficult for me to predict now it's gone through to Cash. If it was a different map, it would have been much easier, like Mirage or whatever, it would have been an easier call for me. But Cash, man, it's like a coin flip almost.
And it does look like we have extra time to talk than usual, just seeing because Jordan has only just taken his seat. I can ask you the question about personal opinions surrounding TyLoo. I mean, they're a team that are relatively unknown, but then in the green room you made a statement suggesting that were they to make a move to North America or be playing within that region, like where would they be? Where would you put them if they had the opportunity to play these games, these opponents on a regular daily basis?
Obviously, it's a lot of hypotheticals, right? And
well, we've got time for hypotheticals.
Exactly, and I guess it was my bad because I brought it up, right? But definitely, if they had the opportunity to actually just attend more tournaments more often, they probably wouldn't be regarded as such an underdog in most matchups, simply because we've seen what they can do. They've beaten Luminosity in a best of 3. That's not something to scoff at. So
it is all we've got going. Like, it does feel like we're going to have to keep beating on the same few results because that's all we have.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you can't really talk about how their amazing victory versus Wings Gaming
and Cybersen
caught everyone's like, well, Cybersen is a team that has somewhat notoriety that people actually can put on a bit of a measuring stick, right? But someone like Wings or Born of Fire, they've never been tested versus an actual European or NA team.
For sure.
So if you move TyLoo over to, I guess, the Western region, or just have them in more tournaments, obviously visas are a bit of a hassle, but I think you'd probably put them around the same place where Immortals are. So on the brink of a top 10, maybe like top 15, top 10, where they could battle it out. But they've definitely showed that they have the skill to compete with the very best here.
That's a fair shout, actually. And when you look at them as a team, it's not a lack of individual talent as to why they lose. They have crazy aim, crazy reaction speed, very good movement. It's the strats, it's the force buys, it's the economic mistakes. and the lack of experience maybe that's going to cost them a game. It's nothing to do with their individual talent.
And I mean, I don't know if I should raise this, but what about the discussion surrounding work ethic? Because North America is always chastised for their work ethic. We always suggest, you know, they rest on their laurels, and it's all these there's been a whole discussion. I don't want to bring that back up, but I mean, over and towards, we haven't seen too much of the Asian region in Counter-Strike. But what we do know was over in Malmo, they had someone stay up all night watching, reviewing demos.
Yeah,
Karsa, thank you. And he basically came through, anti-stratted them, was making calls sitting behind them, and that's something that we would likely not see or hear from the North American team. And so should CS go to Asia continue this growth, which I sincerely hope it does, that could be something that, you know, could get North America back on their toes if Asia starts, you know, showing them how to really, truly dedicate themselves to Counter-Strike.
Well, definitely, but I don't think you necessarily need to look to Asia to find that kind of a worth ethic, or at least not an improved worth ethic, from what we've heard, and a lot of, you know, horror stories coming out from NA. But definitely both the Chinese teams and, you know, if you go further back in the past, Chinese and South Korean teams have been extremely hardworking, and even though they don't have a lot to work with in terms of, you know,
practice.
Not that many practice bonus, because you're going to get extremely high ping because of the distances and everything. They still make the most out of it. Yeah. So yeah, no, that's definitely things to be learned from these teams.
Damn it, geography, making it hard for us to have worldwide esports.
Why couldn't everyone just have Sweden connections, like fiber lines everywhere?
Soon enough. It wasn't that long ago we were on CRTs and we were, you know, peeing in bottles. So, you know, we've come a long way. That's just me. That's just me. Okay. But there we go. The audience already erupts. Looks like we might have a few Cloud9 fans in the crowd here in Katowice in the ESL arena. And the knife round does go the way of the North Americans. They'll have the choice of side. That's going to soften the blow of TyLoo's cash. And that's, I've already hinted of my bias in this one, expecting big things from China. But of course, over to the actual brains. What do you think in Vendetta? What do you think in Metis?
Well, I'm actually, well, you were kind of leading towards Cloud9, I think. But for me, I'm a believer of the Chinese. I think TyLoo are going to take this. I'm
going to say like 16-13, 16-14 to Cloud9, but that's with an asterisk. Skadoodle has to perform.
Okay, there you go. And Skadoodle has already demonstrated that he's capable in this event alone, catching the eyes of our casters just before. But we are ready to get into this one. And actually, talking of casters, they're ready for cash as well. It's going to be a bit of a blockbuster between the North Americans, Cloud9, and the Chinese side, TyLoo. So let's get involved.
Thank you very much, Alex and the Desk, for breaking that one down. Really nice to see that. I think all of us were kind of hoping to see cash in a weird way, but surprised it actually came down to this blue. This is kind of a weird one to see that both teams left this open. Both are confident here. I'm not sure what to expect now.
It is weird when you consider that Cloud9 banned it out the other day, though. So just how confident are they feeling going into it now? But they're going to be giving TyLoo the challenge of facing them on what, in the past at least, has been regarded as probably their best map in both domestic and international matchups. So it's going to be a doozy to see who actually ends up taking it here in a very important match as well, as this is still in the middle pool right now, with both these teams being tied at 1-1.
Cloud9 having some really quite heartbreaking games as well to lead up to this. TyLoo have been fighting pretty much tooth and nail, but haven't seen anything else from them. It's only been pretty much their cash that's been pretty well, you know, observed. The analysis broke down as to why. A lot to be said about it, but we are now seconds away from going into games, so we'll get real proof of what may be in the pudding in this one any second. Now, TyLoo will be starting out on the CT side. On the T side, it will be Cloud9. And we've got quite the buy coming in. I can't wait to break that one down and have a look at what they intend to do here. And a curious one from both sides, actually. So many unanswered questions about to be found out into this game. A CZ for DD. We've got a Molly for Skadoodle with the smoke and more utility on Slemmy as well.
And to start it off, look at how focused the attention from TyLoo is over towards middle. There is a large number of players in here. In the meantime, Shroud and Stewie moving out towards Squeaky to try and investigate the A-bomb site. In fact, Shroud's out there already. He's not going to be able to spot anything because there's literally zero presence here from TyLoo. In the meantime, though, not actually moving into the site just as of yet. Cloud9 are sitting back, waiting, and are lining up that usual default that we've come to know them for as of late on this T side.
Okay. TyLoo either have read this perfectly or still can play retake. The double boost says that this is actually going to be a very deadly round. Fancy gets the connection towards Stewie. He doesn't need to extend on this. He can still just hold back a little further, but actually somebody's not even shown his hand yet. Still so much in store here for Cloud9 if they do walk out mid, but they've hit the brakes, and I don't blame them.
Somebody's still waiting very patiently just on the other side of boost, but there was some hesitance on Cloud9, and for good reason. Now the only question is, where do we see them take it from here? And it looks like it's going to be a shift over towards the A site. Captain Mo, though, has started to get some intuition as to the fact that this may not be playing towards mid anymore. Now, he's seen the smoke. I'm not going to go out too aggressively, just tapping away with the USP right now in hopes of grabbing somebody, but nothing to be found as of yet. Speaking of somebody elsewhere, he is going to be able to pick up a play as the members of TyLoo are very aggressively moving back inside of Amy and wrapping a big flank on these guys. And there's 2 quick kills from somebody based on Shroud and Slimmy. Now it's all or nothing, but he's picked up 2 frags as well. Captain Mo and Fancy, but DD with the CZ in hand closes out. And it's going to be TyLoo that takes the pistol round here on their CT side.
What a powerful retake as well. Somebody, of course, playing a massive factor into that one, but everyone else doing the role just fine. The mid-stack paid out and then some. 4 players dedicated towards that. 1 underneath boost, 1 in vent, 1 by sandbags, and 1 highway. As you noted, Captain Mo kind of pulled himself back from highway, put himself a little bit more towards those toxic barrels, just watching that main push as soon as that smoke came down. Instantly, the response came out. So TyLoo with a good start here. However, Cloud9, not really able to make much of an impression to that. They still got a bomb plant, so not the worst way to start this one off. Buying quite a little bit into this, though. Couple players under that 2K marker. So yeah, we'll have to see how this one comes out for them. Again, the molly coming out to play, so maybe didn't have the chance to really utilize that before, maybe hoping to get themselves towards the site, get another plant under their belt.
Stewie, you can see looking for some pop shots there on top of the boost area at the beginning of this round, but none to be found just as of yet. TyLoo immediately actually shying away from that huge amount of mid pressure they went for on the first round, and now focalizing mainly over here towards the A-bomb site, leaving only Fancy and DD to defend the B-bomb site, which could prove a bit dangerous here. Cloud9 lining up 4 players in the back B halls right now, ready to push in, with Stewie as well being able to add as a later addition in through the vents there if he decides to push as well. So TyLoo need to be very fast on this rotate. Other than that, both Fancy and DD are going to have to be on point with defending this, as they do have the better guns, so it should make things a little bit easier. But nonetheless, Cloud9 definitely and decisively ready to go into this site now as soon as they are ready for it.
One thing you would say, though, for the TyLoo players, them playing so passively towards this, at least by time for rotators coming for the other 3 members. So Fancy can kind of just dive in and out here. Gets a nice angle on the nade there to follow through. Good work towards Shroud and Slemmy, actually. Good damage dealt. So he's going to go back in for more, and why not? It's very controlled here for Fancy. Beautiful work coming through with him and DD. Does overextend a little there towards nothing, but this has been a very swift round from the TyLoo side. Goes in with the CZ as well. DD there, just going to shut it down. Good stuff from the Chinese side of TyLoo. Very reserved, very patient, and showing so much variety in their style. You noted it again. The way they completely just didn't play anyone mid there. 3 towards A, 2 towards B. The round before that, there's your 4 stack. This makes it incredibly hard to read for Cloud9.
And not only that, too, they didn't even need the rotation. It was just the 2 on the side to handle it. They stopped Cloud9's aggression before it even begins, because they all lined up for the take. They took their time. They wanted to wait the clock down, but TyLoo, I think, had a very good read as to when they wanted to try and go into that site. And with that, they were able to just push right into their face to surprise them and stop it from ever becoming a factor. But Cloud9 did manage to find the plant on the first round. So with that, they're going to be buying into round number 3 here, but it's very limited utility-wise. They get the rifles in check, but only a couple smokes and flashbangs to be found beyond this now. So it's going to need to rely mainly on entry power to find their way into a site, as well as holding it after the bomb goes down.
And I love this angle from Attacker. If you'd just switch to him, you can see that you can actually see the push up towards A. You can see how cautious Slemmy and Skadoodle were. Actually, it was Slemmy who was worried that maybe they boosted in towards A main. There's that kind of almost a one-way smoke you can sit on there. Not the case here. And actually, Shroud, will he check it? They're so cautious of this because I think they had a good idea and may come out. And exactly, it's his spot. He wants it back. He's like, I can sense something's wrong here. But Attacker still showing real patience, not losing his nerve. Somebody's watching this as well. So again, he has support in this sort of attempt. And all the Cloud9 players are building towards this still. Nothing playing a bit of a mid-roll here, but not really committing. 4 players, however, though, for Cloud9 are postured towards A.
Attacker now waiting for the push to come in towards A. They might have called it off, and not only this, but there's going to be a molly there. Attacker spots, but he can't actually execute it now. He's under pressure here, has to duck below his own teammate's Molotov, but the door acts as a stepping point for him to get back. He maintains himself, keeps himself alive. They did, however, lose somebody in the process of this, so they've got to be careful. An Attacker, wrong timing on the jump, but he still somehow finds that pickup on his Slemmy. Now as they shuffle out onto the site, Shroud striking, but Attacker trading it back, but he runs out of ammo. Shroud's going to be able to trade that back onto Attacker, into a 2v2, but that molly's going to force Shroud away. They can't play the bomb just as of yet. Not only this, but DD catches the back of nothing.
They can commit for this. They know they can. They know Shroud is going to be low. This would be some god-tier level play from Shroud. I think he spotted the first. Completely flash, gives away his position, just about dives out. 10 HP, spotting these players. Time after time, he knows his time's running out on that one player who went mid, and it doesn't matter. It's Fancy to take the fight, and he gets the job done. The A-hold was prolific from Attacker then, up on the boost. Brilliant position, got the information. Rotate came in time. Didn't overdo it either by retaining one back, so the player on high was consistently pressured for Cloud9, and they seemed aware that that was a possibility as well. They kind of double-stepped out towards it, keeping the angle away before they actually went for the fight on it, but they couldn't overcome it. At the end of the day, we've got a 3-0 now for TyLoo, withstanding 1 gun round already coming in. Now going to force Cloud9 back off the money, back down to pistols.
There's so many situations there where Attacker can just get destroyed at any point. We see him right at the beginning, and them spotting him to begin with. It's amazing that Shroud didn't actually catch that, and even when the take comes out, they're smart to really molly just below him. It almost ends up being his doom as well, but the door is still partially open. He's able to jump off of that back into the NBK spot, and then even picks up one more kill as well, where it looked like he was going to go down because he had some poor timing on a jump and gun swap there, but was still able to recover from that and take down, I believe, Slemmy before finally getting traded out. So now Cloud9 back into another round. Stewie going to take some heavy damage at the beginning, trade some of it back onto somebody, but ultimately he'll pick up that first kill. Slemmy catches the trade though, takes back somebody, and now they're going to try to work their way out onto the site, but Smoke's covering their approach, and TyLoo have already rotated a lot of their players over here, so it's going to be tough with just those pistols.
Well, Stewie saw some smoke. Stewie goes through the smoke. Not too surprising. He almost got something done out of it, but couldn't quite achieve any more. Now it's down to nothing in a 1v3. Bombs on the other side. So it's going to be a little bit hard to hold, but I'll just end up getting pushed in the end, and the defuse will come out. Again, solid retake from TyLoo. Attacker and somebody having a good play towards A so far. Cloud9, though, still getting closer. We haven't seen the full kind of depth of Cloud9 yet. We've yet to see that AWP. Now we will. So we're going to see Captain Mo on the AWP, and we're going to see Skadoodle. Now, this was one of the win conditions that Metas actually put down there, saying, look, if Skadoodle has a good game, we're going to have a close one here. This could be very, very good, and that's why he backed them. So a lot of pressure on this man to come up with some sort of answers here. So far, 0-4. It's not the worst beginning for Cloud9, but they can certainly do more, and they know that as well.
So you can see the nice little boost play here too, putting Skadoodle up without him actually going towards boost itself, just behind the semi. A little bit behind it there. Nothing though, waiting for the aggressive push. Catches one of them, Attacker trades it. Not only this, but somebody is able to push inside and picks up a second one now for his team. TyLoo again get the edge advantage here and bring this into a 4-on-3, but that was a lot of presence towards the B-bomb site. And unfortunately, it didn't really seem like Cloud9 were able to recognize this fact and then take it onto the A site, as now TyLoo have been able to fall back and spread their players out evenly, despite the fact of losing Fancy. Cloud9 very, very timid right now to actually go for these site takes. And despite the fact that A was wide open for the taking, they've decided to sit back in mid and take their time with the approach to this game.
I can't really blame them. Again, the versatility we're seeing from TyLoo here. We've seen mid stacks, we've seen the boost, we've seen the 3A no mid, and now we've seen the 3 play through B hordes. This is very hard to counter for Cloud9. They can't just do an all-encompassing counter to this. It has to be very much on its feet, very fluid for themselves. So players like Skadoodle will need to start having good games because they need to meet it with just sheer firepower. So just going to group up as 3, try and lock it off as they go, but somebody's going to be ringing the alarm bell pretty soon. Whether or not he sees them, yet to be found out, but you'll hear them soon enough. You can just peek up and over. Here's the smokes. And no, please someone check this. Please someone check this. No, somebody gets away completely scot-free. DD shuts out Slemmy, and you can see Shroud being shut in on. DD's not going to get away with that. And again, Cloud9 just letting go at the wrong times almost here. TyLoo are just pulling this one forward. If you're going to pick this map against TyLoo, you better be ready. This is the thing. Cloud9 brought it down to this. Both teams were kind of curious that this was going to be a factor. And it coming to it so far, looks like TyLoo are taking the advantage more than Cloud9.
Somebody even looks right at Shroud there too, and he goes over towards the vents, but isn't punished for it at all. So definitely gets away in a couple situations scotch-free, where in theory you would have seen Cloud9 punishing it. It's not the case here though. And with that, TyLoo have a good lead going into the next gun round for Cloud9, where similarly to that third round, there's not a lot of utility to be seen here for the T's, as they only have a couple of flashbangs, a single smoke beyond what may have been used already on Slemmy, and a couple sparse grenades beyond that, and it's still that very slow default. One thing to be noted, of course, is that Stewie already has taken a large amount of control of mid, along with Shroud a little bit further back there, since TyLoo, ever since we've gone past that pistol round, have been much more passive about holding it themselves, but where they've really struggled, of course, is finding their way onto that site and actually holding it past that point.
Gotta say, I do love the CT aggression that they're showing here, in small doses or large from TyLoo. It's keeping Cloud9 extremely humble. They've forgotten any sort of presence towards mid. You can see a little bit of a peer out there from Attacker, got a bullet back and said, no thank you, I'm alright without that. But let's see now, with Cloud9 having that in mind, Stewie did push up pretty far. How do they approach it? There's already a 3-man stack here for the CT side towards B, but it's a straight up trade. Far more of an advantage here for the T side. Stewie going to just linger forward. Fancy goes for the pop flash up and above. Doesn't really catch anyone. It gives there a chance. Stewie had a shot on that one, but still buys time well enough. It's down to a 3v3 here, and Fancy is still standing, and the shots keep landing here. Finally, Skadoodle and nothing make it to the side, but look at the readjustment. They knew exactly the position they wanted, and this is perfect play from TyLoo. This is incredibly good CT-sided play. Now their money's looking robust, and sadly for Cloud9, it feels like they barely made a dent. it might be time for a timeout soon and just discuss things through because they have no answers at the moment.
That's some great movement there from Fancy, too, to keep himself alive there. They essentially just box the members of Cloud9 in. The more control they take, the further they wrap away from them there. So Fancy gets a really good read on the situation. And we see some good support coming in there from Captain Mo with the op, who has been somewhat quiet at this point. Really hasn't had to do a whole lot of work, but definitely comes in big time there to save Fancy on the site, keeping him alive. And again, keep in mind that on the CT side of things, it helps to build that economy more and more, which is often tipping point for a lot of teams. Flip side, most notably, were really struggling with that in some of their past matchups over the past couple of days here. But on the CT side now, they're going to be tested once more as Cloud9 are going very quickly. Look at this again, though. We can see Fancy just in the middle of this smoke. They do catch him pretty quickly, though. Slemmy's able to take down Fancy, and with this fast take, they're onto the site, but it's still a bit of a scrapper, as we can see. There's so much chaos all around here. Good timing on the flash against Captain Mo, so Skadoodle gets himself onto the site. Ooh, bit unfortunate there with that nade. But somebody coming into the flank now is going to try to change his team's luck and retake this site yet again.
Well, at least they got a plant. That's a little bit of silver lining, but Shroud had complete possibility in this, and again, TyLoo just on the retake. This is devastating stuff for Cloud9. They had the players, they had the plant, and they actually had fairly decent angles. The weapons weren't great, and again, the opportunity slips for them. This is becoming more of an issue here, Blue.
It's becoming a very big issue in that Cloud9. It's not even, I mean, I've said before that like, they're having trouble getting onto the sites, and there's a couple trades here and there. They can get onto the site, and they can get the bomb onto the ground. You can see how many plants they've had. It just post-plants are horrific. TyLoo are pulling off so many scenarios where they should have no business doing it because Cloud9 is slipping up in some easy 1v1s, giving them away, and that allows TyLoo to get more and more control back into the map.
What will TyLoo do now? Cloud9 look dumbstruck for answers more than anything. Bear in mind, Stewie is yet to frag as well. Couple of assists here and there, but that is not Stewie. He's been doing great this event. Even as of late, prior to this event, he's been doing wonderfully, but not today. So, Stewie, I think he's aware that somebody pushed up mid. I think he either heard steps or traded out a couple of shots. And this default, I'm wondering where Cloud9 take it. They've had limited success on 8. Again, the retakes being very primed. And Skadoodle, where has this man been?
So, after initial pretty big push of forward momentum from Cloud9 at the beginning, it again just resolves itself to this default that, in my opinion, has become all too common for these guys now. Molly goes inside of the vents and is going to push Fancy back into the B bomb site, so mid-control is in their future once again, and also a good flashbang too to knock somebody out, so some better things being seen here from Cloud9, but mid-control has not been the issue before. It's been on the sites themselves where they've been having actual big problems getting control of things here, and again, good job punishing some of this aggression. Nicely done by Shroud. They're peeking back out from Squeaky after we saw Attacker getting lit up from the op shot. Gonna be able to finish him off, and now only 3 left alive, but Captain Mo has a good angle, and there we go! Turns right around and finds a second shot on a Shroud.
Brilliant play from Mo then, just being able to punish the little bit of a try and check up on that almost from Shroud. He knew that Skadoodle went down, he wanted to punish again like he did before. Not going to get away with it, but Stewie with a good split as well. Finally starting to dominate this map. It's brought it down to 2 players now on the CT side, which is Mo and DD. DD's got a good spot on B. Almost caught them out there, but eventually Slemmy handles it, which is good enough. Bomb goes down, and now 3v1. Mo has no business going for this, but he might as well. What has he got to lose here? At the end of the day, maybe the AWP gets dropped over, but their money's pretty robust, and hell, if they keep walking at him like this, he might actually have a shot at it.
He has a decent amount of money, actually, so it's not actually the worst thing in the world if he goes in and ends up dying, despite the fact that he's already gotten 1 kill. If he can pick up 1 more, it's still great because it keeps the money in a very manageable position for them, despite the fact that now we're going to see Cloud9 finding around the molly going onto the site, and it looks like he's actually going all the way in for this one, kit in hand. No utility on that molly, but dropping down, doesn't check below him and firing off. They know where he's at, but there's the first pickup. Slemmy, though, catches the trade, and finally, Cloud9 are on the board, 7-1.
Felt like a long time in the making that round. 7 in a row, and then 1 to stop it. The money's still okay, though, for TyLoo, as we said. Relatively robust enough. It's not perfect. Some of these rounds have been close. They've been bringing it down, but it's been the retakes that have been working out for TyLoo predominantly. But now Cloud9 have a bit of silver lining. Now they have a chance to bring something back here. So early enough, again, I can imagine the default will follow, but actually a quick boost. Maybe we're trying to isolate some players mid, and it might be the correct read, assuming they check the right places, and they do. Nothing and Stewie both get this one side off with a bang. Get that 5v3 in their favor, but they don't expect another player by sandbags, and Mo can still punish, but shouldn't have been able to escape that.
Nice.
Actually, Skadoodle to miss, but Shroud to lock in the shot.
Shroud punishing Captain Mo, not letting him get out of there. So the final 2 are split to either site. Cloud9 are their pick of the litter now, and it should be pretty safe waters wherever they do decide to take this towards. But it's going to be a split B take. DD holding the position in the vents. He will look to punish from here, but Shroud, nicely done, spots him as soon as he walks his way into the site. Takes down DD. And again, for Attacker, so far detached from the action at this point. There's not a whole lot he's going to be able to do about this.
Yeah, if he can make it costly, cool. Ideally, he just wants to save onto that. He doesn't have that much money himself. He's been quite the aggressor throughout this matchup, and well, throughout their entire cash play, to be fair. So again, him keeping on with this M4 would be a great thing for him. See what they can bring into the next couple of rounds. You can see nothing's already going hunting for this, though. He doesn't like the idea of them being able to keep hold of anything. Now they've got a small advantage. They want to build into this more. It wouldn't be a bad scoreline if they win out the rest of these rounds here, actually, for Cloud9. More than possible for bringing it back. Again, though, TyLoo, Alex kind of evaded talking about it on the desk, but they were struggling a little bit to keep that economy in check inside of their games on cash. So we didn't see it in their previous one, but the one prior to that, there was a couple of issues. So imagining maybe this could be an interesting one if that does become a point down the line, if they can keep that well maintained. But here we go. So, fourth stay alive for Cloud9. 7-2, and the rebuy going to be coming in here. Fancy a little worse for wear compared to the others, but you can probably get something built into this.
In all honesty, this is like, so far, part of the course, this is almost identical to what we saw in their first game on cash, where they took a huge lead early on, but then they lost all steam as we got into the closing portions of the first half. And then from that point was where we saw the force bind come in. That was on the T side, so this is a lot like it actually right now. If they can recover from this and, you know, crawl back and still hold a huge scoreline advantage over CN at the first half, then I'm not worried. But if we see a repeat of events here and Cloud9 bounce back and this ends up being like 9-6 or even, you know, 7-8 in theory in the favor of Cloud9, then I am a bit worried for what the T side holds for TyLoo.
Could get pretty scary. Still 1 minute and 20 seconds to go. You can see that Cloud9 not sure where they're coming up against in these rounds, because there has been so much variety and so many different plays coming out from TyLoo, showing a real depth in the playbook. And it looks like a 4-play stack actually towards A from TyLoo. So again, very, very different, very unique. You've got the double boost on site, and actually fancying somebody going to fall away from that. As you can see, Stewie and Nothing starting to apply some pressure towards B. Going to force these guys to play a little more default here. They even start hearing the rotates, I'm pretty sure.
Shroud sneaking his way up towards Squeaky over there. Stewie working his way out from the vents. They're now holding control. Still nothing to be found as of yet on either team. But now with the timer getting lower, just above 45 seconds now, Cloud9 do need to start the take onto the site. It's going to head over to B again. It's become sort of a favorite here in these past couple of rounds, as it has been working out quite better than a lot of their A takes. So as they work their way in, it's Slemmy again, back over here towards the middle, that finds the first kill to somebody. And this should actually keep the A players there on the site, because there's going to be a bit of uncertainty. It's dispelled now, though, as they're going all in on this site. DD responding after shot picks of the first kill, but then Nothing chiming in with another one, taking down DD. And they hold control. A 2-on-4, again, will be the name of the game here, post-plan. And for TyLoo, they're just not going to be a chance at it. Falling back, time to save yet again.
And TyLoo causing for the pause. So taking this incredibly seriously, assuming that this is not a technical one. I can imagine it's not. They probably just be looking at discussing what's maybe going wrong, what's finally broken. How do they get around that B hit that's becoming a little bit too common, I guess, for Cloud9, that they have been doing that on quite a regular basis and being quite successful at it, which is the kind of more worrying part for TyLoo. And Mo, steps out a little too widely on that one. Shroud's going to punch that pretty comfy. Attacker, though, finding Slemmy's going to mean that he might be able to live to fight another day. That bomb's starting to tick pretty quickly, and Shroud is going hunting, but the other two are a little further away. So Attacker just be holding on for dear life at this point. I don't think they're going to make it in time.
Nah, Attacker should be able to make it out of this round with the rifle at least. And he picks up one more from Cloud9. But the issue is that the rest of his team does not have enough cash. 2750, 2400, 2400, a very common theme across the board for the rest of TyLoo. Attacker has 5200, so in theory he could drop a weapon, but that would still only have them with 2 rifles, and is still not really an optimal situation for those guys to be working with, especially when they still have a lead going. So it seems to me that the biggest issue here is that all of a sudden they've gone back to a much more static sort of CT side, where they were willing to take a risk. They were willing to take these more risky positions before, and all of a sudden there was 1 or 2 rounds where it didn't really work out, and they just abandoned it entirely. And this is where Cloud9 has started to punish them for this, because just holding these default angles on the sites is unfortunately allowing Cloud9 to just line up these all-in takes, and as soon as they go in, they entirely overwhelm the 2 or 3 players that are always on the B site, and then that's been forcing saves, I think, for the last 3 rounds in a row here, where TyLoo are really not left with much of a choice.
Yeah, from round 6 we saw that kind of default play. Still a little bit of aggression from somebody towards A main, but beyond that it did fall into that real default position. Otherwise, we saw the aggression, we saw the plays through mid, we saw that B stack, we saw some really creative stuff from TyLoo, but as you said, once the game got a little read into by Cloud9, now they've got the money behind them, they can actually start looking at doing the real damage themselves. And we said this before, at least I said that I feel they need to highlight at least the last couple of these rounds. They need to make sure they are in place. Otherwise, this is going to get a little bit, I guess, hard to handle going into the second half for Cloud9. These guys should be able to close out on a nice close game here, assuming all goes to plan.
They are going to have to get back into the swing of things soon, because this is starting to look a lot like the replica of the match they played on day one. They are ready to go back into the match, though. So we're going to get things unpaused, and indeed, they won't be forcing up this time. So the only big gun they'll have to work with will be Attacker on that M4. He will donate CZs, though, to the entirety of the rest of his team, and these guys have already been fairly impressive with their CZ work before, so count them out of the mix just yet. Ultimately, though, looking at the gun power, Cloud9, in theory, should be looking at a 4th round.
Yeah, absolutely. See nothing wrong as to why. We're going to see the push through Squeaky. Shroud's heard that, and he's in a good position to wait. This one just boosted up on top of the kind of electric boxes. Gets outdone a little there by Captain Mo, but nothing. Waiting to trade well. So, keeping this one in check. Fancy and DD, your other two alive at this point, and Fancy's just been spotted out, if I'm not mistaken, just crossing through on A by Stewie. And DD's been playing religiously at B, so Stewie shouldn't be caught off by this, and I think he's just seen the arm actually when they were flashed there. So he should be able to hold these angles pretty well.
Now the rest of Cloud9 just going to roll into the A-bomb site. Fancy is the man looking to do some damage here, sitting himself behind the forklift now, but they know he's there and walking right up. Slemmy just going to deck him down to the ground. DD was quick enough on the rotate, but again, he doesn't really have a position to work with, and they've already got a pretty good idea that he's going to be hiding around that corner there. So the flashbang goes in. Actually, perfect connection onto him, but no follow-up. Not really needed at this point, as unfortunately, they hold very good positions, and with just a CZ in the hand of DD, it may not really be worth it just to rush over there to take him down.
No, absolutely not. Wondering if he can find it all the way out. I don't think anyone's going to be exiting that way, considering they have seen him here. Nothing's clearing out by T side, so DD's going to save this one. And yeah, money's still pretty trashed. Can't really blame him. But for Cloud9, this is starting to get good at this point, and they can't afford to lose weapons either. Like, looking at their money, it's far from stabilized or anywhere near good enough that they'd be wanting to go truly hunting for things. So they back off, keep hold of a great deal of utility too. Look at all those mollies they won't have to reinvest into yet. So they can just kind of coast through on those. But we're going to see a decent buy coming back in now for the CT side. We do have that AWP coming out. Mo's going to be rocking that one. And I wonder what that pause will now kind of surmount to afterwards. Obviously, they were just kind of on CZ, so we didn't get to see much of it. But this is where we should see the difference in TyLoo.
So for Cloud9 now continuing to lurch forward here to get back into this match after TyLoo had started off strong. Now we see them taking some good strides forward here. Focusing a lot on their B takes. They did go for the A in the last round, but it looks like they're going back to what's been working mostly for these guys on this one. Stewie, though, was able to get himself out onto the A site pretty quickly over here by forklift. Captain Mo spots him, though, and is going to take him down. Not only this, but Fancy's picked up his own first kill elsewhere. Nothing. Finally getting himself onto the board for Cloud9, but there's a good shot from D through the smoke outside of CT main. Takes down Shroud, and all of a sudden, everything falls to Skadoodle and nothing. And
what can you do against that? Skadoodle's going to drop off the bomb, though, trying to get nothing to take that across, while you're going to see Skadoodle set up to hold anyone trying to get back into this. But with 4 players to find, this is going to be very, very tough, and this is where we need that classic Skadoodle to make an appearance. Already, nothing's falling. It's just down to Skadoodle. He's going to back away from this. I think he knows this one is all but over. The defuse is going to come out. He wants to keep hold of the AWP. And I don't know what really TyLoo changed in that round. Mo played well, picked up any sort of stragglers, I guess, and one coming back in. But really Fancy, I guess, finding a B kill there certainly hampered Cloud9's approach.
I think there's more of a weird strat choice from Cloud9, having Stewie working his way into the A-bomb site all in his own. That didn't really end up going very well for them, and then that immediately lowered the potency of, like we said during the pause, they've been doing a lot of these all-ins where it's all 5 players pushing into one site all at the same time. And with TyLoo being very, very strict on their splits, always doing a 2-3 basically, it's been very easy to overwhelm the site that most of the time has been the least defended, which is the B-bomb site. Maybe having 1 or 2 trades along the way, but you know, then you're left in like a 2-on-4 or 2-on-3 in TyLoo because they're already just, the remaining players are on the A site. They're not really too keen on going for that retake itself. So we get into this next one, and Cloud9 are going back over to what looks like the A site, still keeping their options open, of course, to make sure there's no aggressive play from TyLoo pushing the B halls, but beyond this, ready to go in as soon as that timer ticks down a little bit lower.
Oh, and the flash was perfect between somebody and Attacker, but it's going to be Shroud to just deny it, completely blind, as he already had that kind of doorway right in his crosshair. Not going to let that one slip. A bit of a master at playing through Squeaky as well himself. So it's going to really add strain to the CT side, who are already struggling to start dealing with Cloud9's approach to this. Bear in mind, DD's going to pull himself up towards forklift. And now with the advantage, Cloud9 can methodically clear out this side. They have a lot left in their arsenal in the form of molly. So any site being hit is going to be really under pressure, B or A. And good work between Nothing and Stewie to pull players back across to really weaken this A-side attack.
Frenzy, though, it's not really going to cause a whole lot of movement. DD is shifting himself closer to sandbags, but that's about it, and I think that's more to watch out for the mid play there, and also to give him a position inside of vents. That could turn into a flank lineup, but he actually goes completely into the site, which is now going to turn into an issue unless Attacker is able to hold on, and he's just found 2 kills. Stewie and Shroud, both are going to end up going down, but he's out of ammo now in that M4, but still, Captain Mo coming in, DD to assist. Skadoodle finally takes down Attacker, but he's the last one with only 9 HP. However, still able to frag, moves in, takes down Captain Mo, but now he's looking at a single flashbang to hold this off, and the first one already been used. Connects on a Fancy way back in the corner, but he's still tucked away in a safe pocket. Waiting for this peek to come out from him now. As Skadoodle places himself behind the safe plant position. Peeking out, he's unfortunately going to find his doom against DD, and TyLoo are now taking back control yet again. 9-4 will be the scoreline.
I'm really surprised they were to hold on to that so well. I actually thought that was Cloud9's round, but it was Attacker just doing so much work from quad that we did not see prior to that point. So again, credit to Attacker for being such a nuisance in this, but this flash again, such a quick and painless advantage, but Attacker being able to do this work, being able to take the time to reload, and by that point, pull over the rotates after what was starting to be not necessarily a B stack, but certainly a posture towards it. That could have been a lot worse. But in the end, for TyLoo, they do manage to hold on. And sadly for Cloud9, it just falls apart towards the end of it. Still enough in the bank to buy up here for Cloud9, though. They do have the orb back in place, so Skadoodle is still very much alive and kicking. And I want to see a little bit more from TyLoo. I want to see a little bit of that aggression come out to play again, but at the moment, taking their time. We might actually see a little bit of a boost coming up, and they've got to be careful on this one. Last time around, Cloud9 were hyper aware of this. There's been a couple of rounds, so maybe they've forgotten some of the old charm that TyLoo brought initially. But we'll see how Slemmy, Nothing, Stewie, Shroud, whoever walks that way, deals with what's ahead of them.
Attacker was still able to impact amazingly, though, from this position at least one round before, so be careful. But with it being an exact repeat, positionally-wise, I feel like they would have gotten used to that, and Shroud would now be checking that on a push out from the squeaky doorway. That is assuming, of course, that Cloud9 still decided to work into this site, and with the bomb currently positioned just outside of the back B halls, there is reason to believe it could be going over towards the B bomb site as well. Fancy, though, starting to peek out. See some of that mid pressure coming in, but Shroud is going to be the one that strikes first, taking down somebody. And now we'll start to see them move in. Skadoodle finding another shot as well, eliminates DD. And they're getting themselves back on good graces here.
Yeah, lovely picks throughout the map on the T side here for Cloud9, punishing any sort of information gathering plays from TyLoo. Good stuff, but now they need to keep this up because Attacker, he made differences before, but this could be incredibly hard to do so, but he does have a great spot. He gets down two. Skadoodle, Nothing, get absolutely slayed. And now Fancy so far away, though, I don't think he's going to be able to do much. All right, tell a lie, he does do just fine. And a clean kill towards Stewie means that he's still got an opportunity here. But bomb planted 1v2. These two should be able to lock it down. They do have the mollies to buy time. He does have a kit and a flash. But to isolate these two players into 2 1v1s is going to be increasingly hard.
If they had won one or two of the initial 1v1s, like specifically from Fancy pushing back, or apologies, officially from like Captain Mo pushing in there before towards mid, then this would be a completely different situation right now, considering Attacker's impact. But Fancy still trying to work this, pushing in, looks away at the wrong moment. So Slemmy is going to take him down, and Cloud9 battling back here now, find a 5th round as we go into the final one of the half.
And an important one as well. It's pushed the money pretty far down from TyLoo. They can still get a good enough buy, but not perfect. Attacker and somebody going to be very low for cash. They do have the AWP towards Captain Mo, M4 with DD, but yeah, you can see Fancy on the UMP as well, 5-7 coming out for somebody. The other side, of course, Cloud9 are pretty flush. They're starting to really reap the benefits here of keeping that money starting to stay pretty strong beside them, but they still want to get this final round in. They still want to do some damage here. 9-5. It is far from over. And oh, Mo, what an angle to have as well. They traded out eventually, but still, good start there for TyLoo, but instantly answered by Shroud.
Indeed, he'll be able to take down somebody there. But still, 4-on-4, Cloud9 have been stunned before, and the issue is not only in this matchup, but so many matches before this, Cloud9, the issue is that when they lose a player, regardless if they trade it back or if they slow their pace down to a huge degree, they start to second-guess themselves. They are a bit timid with their own strategies, and this was a big part of what actually kind of wrecked them at the beginning of this half. And that they were playing things too slowly. They weren't really too solid on the way they wanted to run this half strategically. And TyLoo were able to abuse them because of that, because they found themselves standing out in the open far too much and running that timer down way too low. But for now, all will be quiet on the map. However, that's going to end pretty quickly. Captain Mo finds another target, takes down Slemmy. Fancy, though, is going to be under some pressure. Can't actually take down Shroud, or he has to get himself out of that Inferno. And DD trying to fire off through this smoke, as now Cloud9 are getting themselves out onto the B-bomb site, and there's not really anybody to defend this. Captain Mo moving in from mid, but he can't risk pushing out the vents just yet.
Or can he? He makes a bit of a questionable step there, and it's been Shroud as a highlight player throughout this game. 3 in this round, but even before that, he has been the headliner for Cloud9. And now DD and Attack are the ones who have to kind of come back in this, find a route, an avenue of attack that will work for them. But this crossfire is pretty crisp. Timing, though, could be against them. Attacker! How did he find that pathway? How was no one watching that? It's down to 1v1, nothing against DD. And nothing is playing this like a champion, but he doesn't finish off the job. It's given DD another chance at this. Nothing looks the wrong way, and he loses out. DD finds the angle, and he does have the time just about to defuse this.
And that's going to be a big clutch from him. Very, very close on the defuse, but it does look like he is going to have control over that one, most definitely. With that now, TyLoo take a huge edge on their first half against Cloud9, 10-5. The second half, guys, is coming up in just a few minutes. You don't want to miss it, so stick around.
Welcome back. This game is not over yet, and what an electric first half we've had here between TyLoo and Cloud9. Cloud9 not going to go down without a fight. Now it's their turn on the CT side. They chose to start on the T side, if I'm not mistaken, as well. So TyLoo going in with a lead here. Let's see how this goes. What a rush is going out already.
Moving all swiftly onto the B-bomb site, and they find the first kill too, taking down Slemmy. Shroud responds, but it's only for that single kill, as Fancy in kind is going to take him right out of the picture. 3 left alive for Cloud9. And you can see too that the Tech 9 in the picture for Captain Mo sitting below here, just strikes true, takes down nothing. Stewie trying to find his way back in, but Captain Mo just going to leap right forward into the vents again and take him out. Skadoodle, no way, man, you're pulling this off. He's going to try to do what he can at this point, but somebody leaping through. That's a 4-man left alive. Pistol round victory for TyLoo, and not only this, but they already have the lead going for themselves. So assuming the second round force-up from Cloud9 doesn't go anywhere, TyLoo might already have this match cemented for themselves.
And what an explosive round from TyLoo. Ballsy play just going all straight into B. Now we have a bit of a nice buy-up coming out. 1 rifle for DD, 2 MAC-10s, 1 Tech 9 in the Tech 9 in the UMP. I'm just going to combine all the words. That works, Lauren. Outside that Cloud9 on the other side, of course, going to have to forego somewhat of this round, but going to buy relatively well back into it with the 5.7 P250s Deagles. But they do have a bit of armor as well. But look at this play again. I can imagine it's still going to have the ferocity that we saw before. Stewie's got a face full of it. He knows what's coming. A quick flash trying to hamper the attack from TyLoo. It makes no difference. They power through, and again, they have the site under control. Skadoodle with a stunner on towards Attacker. Hello, Skadoodle. DD's head gets ripped off. Now we're down to a 3v3.
Captain Mo trying to hold things off here so they can actually go for the plant, but it'll be somebody striking once again there, being able to take down Skadoodle. Wrestling back control now for the guys on TyLoo. Somebody holding that close corner there by the forklift too. They're not going to be expecting him to be hiding out from there, so as soon as they perch a bit too close, and there we go. They know they're both in that smoke right now. Somebody just spraying out the entire clip, and he switches over to the USP to close it out. Another one up on the board for TyLoo. Some okay damage coming in from Cloud9, but now that TyLoo are on the T side, certainly really not enough to justify any real notable damage in the long run.
Oh, this is beautiful though from Skadoodle. This follow-up shot was just lush. Look at that. Absolutely destroyed him, but by that point, as you said, it's kind of done and dusted there. It's, you know, good damage, but not quite enough when you see the scoreline, when you see the sides, doesn't build into it. So 12-5 now being the point we're at. Cloud9 need to just kind of work their way through this round. They've gone in for a bit of a interesting play. just go mid, guys. It'll be fine. They're going to boost up quickly and try and take over mid control. Actually, could be quite a nice retake in a way. They could do some surprise damage, I guess, would be the only way I could put it. 3 players now spotted, though. Captain Mo remaining calm. B is now planted, and Attacker doing cleanup duties.
Captain Mo! Oh my goodness, moving in, takes down nothing, then whips himself in the other direction, takes down Stewie. It's like the second time he's done that sort of a play. They did it with the off in the first half, and now the flashbang coming back out. Somebody got the knife out right now. He's going for it. It's not going to work out this time, though. He's running for his life, but Attacker wants to play that a bit more seriously. He's going to whip out the AK in order to finish out the last man from C9.
All right. He's been that player when everyone goes for the knife, loses it, and then the defuse come in. He's had to see that happen before. So, you know what I mean? Everyone's had that moment of actually like, guys, please stop throwing it. 13-5, though. This is a big round now coming up for Cloud9. They have the orb. They have what they need in some way, shape, or form. But TyLoo have even more. And their T-side always look pretty good on these gun rounds. Their mid-control, their mid-takes were pretty spot on. And we're going to see it again. Instant take towards it, and actually Cloud9 completely foregoing presence here. Look at this, a quick play up towards Highway could really catch him off. Nothing could be isolated here, but Stewie might have an idea what's coming his way. This is another all-in play coming out from TyLoo.
Nothing, finds the first kill though, is able to fall back from A-Main, and now they know there's more pressure coming back from Highway. Stewie with the peek out, drops the bomb, along with Attacker as well. He's got to be careful though, 15 HP left, and I think there's a molly burning pretty close towards him, but he'll be safe. And now they're trying to make up for this, but so far it's not going very well. Not making any of their marks, however, and it's just left to somebody who has little traction at all to work with. He's got a smoke in place, but regardless, Stewie, on only 15 HP, is going to close out that final kill. Cloud9 striking back a little bit here as they pick up a 6th round.
Good work between Nothing and Stewie then. Considering the positions were far from optimal, it's incredibly hard to hold a site when Highway is completely overrun. You have very limited places you can take those fights themselves, but he managed to find it, and Nothing supported just perfectly. And considering Stewie hasn't been having a great game, always good to see him having a bit of a build-up round here. But again, back into the bite for Cloud9, of course. They have a little bit more going for them now, and, well, TyLoo, of course, can go straight through us. They have no problems here. Instant mollies go down, though, and Cloud9, again, with limited information early on what's coming their way, completely forego A this time.
Captain Mo taking some damage early on there, down to 72 HP. And overall, pretty much everybody getting hit with some damage there as well. That's what? Shroud finds that one tap almost like it's instinct, and then picks up the second one, too. Somebody did trade it out, but now Nothing's coming in. He's found a frag on a DD, and Skadoodle's picking one up, too, so it's all on Captain Mo's hands. And he's going to be so blind. 3 flashbangs in a row connecting onto him. Trying to make some kind of ground here, but Nothing's going to shut him down. And what a shot from Shroud that was.
Shroudy getting rowdy. That was ridiculous. I just want to watch it again, because
Here it is.
Wait for it. Just boop, boom. Get wrecked. Get absolutely wrecked. 13-7. Now Cloud9 have the money in their pocket. They're starting to build a little bit of the bank there, a little bit of a softer lining towards it. And of course, on the other side of things, the other side of the coin, TyLoo a little worse for wear. 13-7, those scorelines still very comfy in their favor, and they're still pretty deadly on these pistols, so they could definitely do some damage with them.
And so now here, for the guys over on Cloud9, taking up positions on the A bomb site. TyLoo, though, still keeping the pace very, very forward of this one. And this is something to note, too. They decide on a strategy, and then they go for it. And there are no second thoughts about it, even if it fails horrendously like it has been in the past couple of rounds here. They're still very solid on their strats, and up to this point, at least, they really haven't been second-guessing themselves. So they're going to be going for the take here once again. That smoke. Double smoke, it actually looked like. Possibly a molly being tossed in there, so a bit of a waste utility, but with just, you know, P250s and Glocks, stuff like that isn't going to be a big deal in this round.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
We'll stick to that. But everyone's in the right place here. You got 3 players, holding pretty well. Skadoodle's nice and far away, he doesn't have to worry about that. Nothing. Stewie should be able to greet them, but nothing gets dinged. Now he's looking a bit vulnerable, but the flashes of goodness, keeping them back, keeping the arm's length. Somebody will find Stewie, but nothing's still alive and kicking, gets taken down, and somebody's got himself an AK, but no bomb plant and no chance. Skadoodle says, that's enough for you. 3 kills for him. It's between him and nothing, and there we have it. 13-8, Cloud9 starting to look a little more dominant. Oh, hello. Double AWP coming out for Cloud9. Now that's going to be something to look at.
This is going to be him more than likely. The way he's always played this is by getting aggressive inside of A main. That's the general position they like to play that, and he's really successful with this too because he always gets the support from nothing most of the time. So we'll see if that's going to be a repeat or if they've sort of adjusted things from there, but it actually looks like it's going to be all on Stewie, so maybe not play things as aggressively as they have in the past setups here. There's a lot of presence focused on mid too. Shroud, Nothing, and Slemmy all in the general neighborhood, but Stewie's not going to have much to do, unfortunately, with that op inside of A main. As you can see, most of the pressure from TyLoo is crawling its way towards the B site right now.
Here we go. Pop flash comes in, doesn't really catch anyone, but it's going to be Skadoodle being the one-man turret. Takes 1, takes 2, looks for more, but now the score comes to play, and Skadoodle gets a triple. That's what we want to see. That's the power that man can have to these rounds. And a good play from Cloud9 then, supporting through mid. A quick rotate came in, but the man himself, Skadoodle, locked it down well enough on his own.
Skadoodle's been keeping this op in his purse for quite a while now, too. He's stacked up quite a pretty bank because of that. He's currently sitting on $11,000, and he doesn't really need to invest it all into this round, so he's going to keep that, buying up a couple random nades or two, so it does bring him down by about 1,000, but we're still keeping that. The other thing, too, is they still shouldn't really know that Stewie has the op and pressure, because I don't think he ever had to use it since he was the solo player at A. But still, that's a very dangerous sort of play that he's been making for a couple of weeks now, even a couple of months, I think they've sort of been doing it with, and he's almost flawless in the way he approaches A main there. And even if he does go down, usually when they play 2 to the site, Nothing is there to trade back at him, but they're still playing it a bit more passively because of that focus on holding mid.
And there you go. Well, that's going to be the first giveaway that there may be something else on the plate that they don't expect. Stewie going to find this. Let me hit a shot, buddy. You really need to do that. Nothing's going to come and save the day. Spraying him wildly, almost fluffs the second, and actually Slemmy just falls apart at the seams. That is really sloppy. What on earth? Fancy's allowed to take down Nothing. This is a huge error from Slemmy and Nothing in mid. Nothing did as best he can, but to lose out that much for nothing, I don't know. That's really not great. So now 2 left standing for the T side. Any more is a bit of a...
Ooh, did that hit the railing?
I think so.
I think it hit the railing and it blocked the shot. So Fancy counting his lucky stars to be alive right now.
That's ridiculous if it did. It
looked like there was like a shing off of it or like a ping.
Yeah, it hit it. You can see the impact mark right on the edge of it, so it didn't actually hit. That really sucks. They didn't need help missing in this round.
I thought there'd be penetration through that and it would have been enough, but...
He might have missed off the back of it, to be fair, but it looked spot on, to be honest. But they might have just been able to work out a bomb plant out of this, so they won't probably be able to hold it. But still, making a bomb plant out of a round that you really shouldn't be able to is kind of worrying and also pretty good for TyLoo. Going to build them up a bit of bank, which they've been definitely struggling on so far. And now Fancy has 3 mollies against him, so this position is not fun. It's about to get very toasty, and in between a rock and a hard place, or I guess an AWP and a fireplace at that point, the defuse is going to come through. And we will see Cloud9 build back in. 13-10, Cloud9 starting to turn up the heat here. This is the game that I wanted to see. This is the pressure I want to see TyLoo put under to see if they could really withstand it.
Yeah, Cloud9, now that they no longer have the pressure of the T side, which I still feel is fairly one-dimensional at this point, going against them, things are going much, much better overall for them. It's overall leading to much looser style from these guys, and now that Stewie as well has this double op setup for these guys, which is really, really potent. TyLoo has their work cut out for them now, especially since they battled back the scoreline, and it's only within 3 rounds at this point.
How will they negate that double AWP as well? They've been struggling so far. Individuals starting to definitely step up for Cloud9 here. Maybe not Slemmy, but everyone else doing well. I've got to give him some.
It's a work in progress.
It's true. Yeah, he's been doing just fine. It was just that clip was pretty fun.
They scooped him up from Premier.
That's true.
It'll take him a bit.
He'll get there. I believe in Slemmy. It's fine. But very, very slow start here from TyLoo. This is nothing to be surprised by either. These guys do like these kind of slower defaults. Again, Attacker having the bomb over by Squeaky kind of gives away somewhat of an intention, but they still don't have to necessarily commit. They did run that clock down very low, and somebody's really kind of committing here over towards B as well. Whether or not he crests that corner is down to him. May not be the case. He might actually decide to go pretty far away from that again as Mo. And Attacker start to look towards B, where Stewie and Nothing will be waiting.
TyLoo, though, slow to line this up, but are inside of the Squeaky room, ready to go. Stewie, though, is going to be up close about that. No presence in A main. He takes position in the cubby. Elsewhere on the map, though, Shroud and Skadoodle have impacted big time. Attacker, he knows he's in there. Look at him leaping around. Stewie trying to hide in the corner, but there's nowhere else you can go. And look at DD waiting outside in the garage there. Takes down nothing, too. So immediately they've evened this back up to a 3-on-3, and they get the A side under their control.
Sick position from DD there, catching the rotation. Now Slemmy's actually going to try and take a fight on him. That could be an error, but actually Slemmy this time will land the shot. Finally brings us back to a nice form of a retake for Cloud9. Good nade to follow, doesn't quite go deep enough to catch the player sitting down by Quad. So Attacker waits patiently, gets flashed out by Mo. Mo again with a flash. Doesn't quite catch it. Actually catches Attacker more than anyone, but Mo tries to make up for it by taking down Slemmy. And now time is running low. The bot... There you go, I was about to say the bomb not quite applied for main, but it doesn't matter. Skadoodle's going to get there anyway, and the defuse already begun by Shroud. And Cloud9 really starting to turn up now.
That was a big mistake from whoever threw that flash inside of A main. The Quad player peaks just about a half second too early and ends up blinding himself, which leads to his death. Had that not have happened, then TyLoo could have been looking at a much stronger hold, considering it didn't look like they were initially checking over there towards the back of Quad. So Cloud9 do get back into this game now in a big way, have a huge economy built up behind at least Stewie, Skadoodle, and Shroud. And for the others on TyLoo here, while they're still buying up here, they're still continuing to get a fairly consistent amount of plants, at least in the last 2 rounds. They are going to need to find some rounds here pretty shortly, otherwise Cloud9 is going to be right at their doorstep.
Again though, slow play from TyLoo. This is not too surprising. He likes to try and bait it out, kind of pull players one way, catch the rotate through to the other side. This time though, no bomb there over towards Squeaky, so really lacking any commitment towards this sort of round. They're finding it extremely hard to just break Cloud9 here. And I've got to say, Cloud9 showing some real forms of resilience at this point, after what was, you know, a pretty disappointing half, I can imagine, for them. Coming to this extremely strong. That double orb definitely ringing very true here for Cloud9.
So now, as everybody from TyLoo again, what started off as a very adrenaline-filled half from these guys, just almost rushing into the sites in every single round. Like I said before, the attack plan seemed like it was set from the beginning, and they wasted no time executing it. Now, we've gone to almost the exact opposite, and they were weighting that clock down very, very low. They're just now starting to line up to push inside of A main and the Squeaky halls here. I'm not sure if they're going to be using boost all that much. They do have Captain Mo up there now, but it looks like he's going to go dropping down and regrouping with the main striking force inside of A main. So executing with 30 seconds left, this is indeed turning things around from what we saw at the beginning of the half. And a good flashbang is going to delay it by a few more seconds too. And there's Stewie again with the op, back by Quad. A second pickup from him to take down DD. More maybe in the future, but for now they're avoiding Quad. That bomb's on the ground though, so they've got to move in to recover it. Stewie clipping off of the side of Quad. There is finally going to miss a shot, but Skadoodle coming right back in to pick up a trade. He's going to go down immediately after that though, and with about 9 seconds on the clock, they find the plant. But they are down a man, so Cloud9 should have the edge on this retake.
Should, but these positions are kind of strange. We've got Attacker and Fancy both kind of watching the same play through, so actually correct at this point as Cloud9 all starting to come through that way, and you can see Attacker being baited into it, but he can't get the spray. Slemmy secures it, comes in, defuse comes out, and Cloud9 successfully retaken again towards A.
And it's so close from going the other way. Slemmy with just a single health point left at the end of that one. 5-second defuse though, so Shroud's gonna have no trouble doing that. And not only this, but they recover the double up setup once again. That's being kept in play for free. And with 2 players maxed out in this round, Shroud and Skadoodle both starting this one with 16K, there are no issues, of course, rebuying for the rest of their teammates.
So, money looking nice and well set for Cloud9, easily back to the double orb. TyLoo needs to find something here because they are starting to really fall by the wayside. This has been a lot of rounds in a row, considering TyLoo won the pistol and ran with it for the first 3. And beyond that, it's been a bit of a one-sided affair, and this is the all-in B play. This is going to be down to Shroud and Slemmy. Now, one of those two has been performing pretty darn well. The other, not so much, but now Skadoodle's here. So, again, big impact about to walk over. A lot of nades coming Shroud's way, but he's still holding true. It looks like TyLoo actually backing off with this one, not actually committing here either.
They're thinking about it though. They're pushing a couple guys forward now just to try and test Shroud a bit there, but still can't find him. He's alive with 17 HP, makes the mistake though, peeks out just a little bit too wide. And somebody is finally going to be able to knock him out. Pick off that remaining 17 HP that he had before, but now though, the B take has still been abandoned. They're falling back right now to the mid-garage.
With somebody pushed up so far, you'd assume they may want to try and exploit that more, maybe try and pull people back from being able to rotate. Keep people like Slemmy and Skadoodle dedicated here.
With Captain Mo's position, it actually looks like they're waiting to see if anybody goes towards mid to watch for a flank first. and now they're shifting this over to an A hit. And it's good that they leave somebody behind, because if he's not too loud about his position, this could actually open up for a monster flank a bit later on. This is, though, assuming that TyLoo also gets site control, and Cloud9 has already adjusted, so they're going to get past both Nothing and Stewie to get onto this site.
And they know what's coming their way now. Somebody gets picked up over by B. It has pulled players back. Skadoodle slowing down the rotate, but they know this is going to be an A hit. Nothing and Stewie are waiting so patiently. The pop flash comes out, but Stewie gets mad rushed down. He can't handle it, and Nothing gets overwhelmed. Suddenly we have a 2v3, making a 2v2. Skadoodle's not done just yet. And now Captain Mo and DD have to withhold against Skadoodle and Slemmy.
Captain Mo's just going to hide in Squeaky, not even having the door open as yet. It's DD that's going to be front and center, trying to make progress for this team. The door gets open, and Captain Mo, it really is just a distraction. So now they've got to find that last man. DD behind Big Red right now on the opposite side, but Skadoodle jumps right up on top and spots him as he's pushing forward. Nicely done by him. Cloud9, they've tied it up, and it's going to be 13-all.
And what resilience from Cloud9 that we've seen so far. These retakes have been on point. The creativity from TyLoo has been stunted, it's been stopped. And Cloud9 have built like absolute beasts now back into this game. Skadoodle having a good impact here. Good AWPing from Stewie towards A. But generally, I've got to say every single player has started to play well. Slemmy's been consistent enough at this point. He's not exactly having a massive downturn, but it's just Skadoodle, you're Shroud, and Nothing. Those three have been monsters. Shroud on that T side was big. Nothing's been great on A as well. And really looking at TyLoo, they seem completely dumbfounded as to how to approach this now.
And for TyLoo here, losing almost all of their momentum. And again, keep in mind, they won the pistol in the following 2 rounds on this half as well. So starting it off 10-5 and then bringing it up to 13-5 before we ever saw Cloud9 striking back. This has been a miraculous run for the players on C9 now to get back into this game and tie it up. TyLoo, we need to start seeing some momentum from them, because at the moment it just seems like they've lost all steam. The rounds are looking close, but they just cannot close out in the clutches.
Cloud9 CT side looking more and more robust at the moment. Definitely withstanding everything that TyLoo's been able to throw at them so far. But then again, it could all break. It could all still fall apart. Let's not write TyLoo out just yet, but Skadoodle going to be tested very soon. 2 players stacked up towards boost, 1 play towards mid. Let's see the timing on this. See if they can pull his attention 2 ways at once. He's going to go for the swing out very soon. I can imagine he's so tempted by it, but no. Holding his nerve, such reserve here. Spots the shoulder peak, and now that's going to allow the rest of the players to filter through mid, get some control, and try and take one of these sites. They're going to actually isolate towards B. It looks like a quick B hit now. Shroud and Slemmy going to see if they can weather the storm.
Shroud trying to hold just over here on top of the headshot glitch near Generator. Still no presence being found by TyLoo on this site just as of yet. And there's only 20 seconds left on the clock. There's a good presence of Molotovs to be able to hold them back, especially by Team A in there, but somebody holds off a flank. There's Shroud's first pickup though. Skadoodle chiming in as well from the CT main area. Goes in and takes down DD. Fancy's trying to make a push, but Skadoodle is still in here, and now Slemmy comes in as well. They've got full control over this site, and Cloud9 are going to take the lead 2 more rounds away from taking this map and putting them 1 away from the major.
What a huge play coming out then as well. A complete brick wall of a defense. No one letting them through, not letting them close to the site. They look ready to close this one down now. 14-13. I don't know, what's the answer here for TyLoo?
I like what we were seeing before at the beginning, where it was just full throttle into the sites. It's just, for whatever reason, they haven't, it's just turned into like the defaults since then, which is like, it's every team's T side on this map, and it's not going to work. Cloud9 can get a read on that very easily and punish it, and as we saw there, because of the fact that it happened so late, they were even able to time their Molotovs and whatnot properly. And here's Stewie2K, again with that aggressive positioning in A main. And because the follow-up here on Squeaky is so slow, he can just get ready for that. That's almost a double. He lights up Attacker as well, and then finds that kill. Look at this. This is now looking very messy for TyLoo, and Stewie just making a complete mockery of them.
Stewie just making it look good at this point. There it is, locks it down. 4K to get them onto match point. 15-13. You may have thought this was all over when you saw that first half scoreline. I suddenly started to scratch my head and wonder why Cloud9 went for Cash as a map, but I think we're seeing as to why this CT side has been all but perfect at this point. Now they just need to close it though.
Indeed. That's a problem for recruiting groups. TyLoo, though, still indeed inching 2 runs away. So there is that opportunity for them to bounce back, but Cloud9 now, a big snowball sitting behind them. It's going to be a hard one for TyLoo to break here. Lining up the hit, and this is what I like to see before, where they line things up and then they go right into the site. And this is what it seems to be now. However, Cloud9 have a bit of a read on this. They're playing the retake, so they know it's going to be an A take.
They're pretty well postured. Look how far back Stewie is. Actually fallen all the way from the side. Already going to hit one. Captain Mo gets eviscerated. A second will fall into the trap of Stewie. And why not make it a third? You've got the angle. Why not stick it out? Sadly, however, for him, bombs on the side. And there's still 3 players alive.
Here's the thing, though, is why not smoke that first? Since you even right after the first player goes down, if you don't want to waste the smoke right from the get-go. But 2 players going down to that now, and in such slow succession, that's just wasted manpower now from TyLoo going down. They still haven't taken out anybody from C9. C9 have let them plan because they know it's the last round. Those Molotovs, that might just burn somebody alive. Thankfully, the shot misses, but in comes Skadoodle. Nothing takes up the position behind Toxic, and now it's all on Fancy in a 1-on-5. Lining up 2 of them, though, but now he's down at 9 HP. Gonna have to try to do something about this, but it can't be done. Skadoodle, along with the rest of Cloud9, around at a huge comeback, and they're gonna take this map 16-13.
What a brilliant performance from Cloud9. That CT side was beautiful to watch. The resilience they showed was world-class. To come back from a very dominant performance from TyLoo in the first half and look solid as a rock. The double AWP looked great. Stewie started to have some real magic there. Nothing being consistent, and Shroud, a guy who gets a lot of strain from, fans and critics alike, had a very consistent and well-rounded performance. So again, Cloud9 should be extremely pleased with that. First half looked a little shoddy, certainly something to be worked on there, but outside of it, closing out on this one, a very good performance.
Yeah, turns out Metas was right. We needed to see Skadoodle show up to the party, and at least in that second half, that is exactly what we saw. Some big stuff from him, something like we haven't seen in the past as of yet, but Stewie was a little bit late to the party. I think he was a bit shy on the T side there, but by the time we got into the second half, he really came back and was pulling off some great plays with that double op setup, and that was obviously the thing I mentioned before, that as soon as he got that in his hands, that's what they needed to worry about, and they almost never really found a counter to that.
Yeah, and yeah, you're actually spot on with the Stewie thing. He had a very poor start. I think it was 0-5, 0-6, something along those lines. A very, very tough testing start for him, but keeping a level head and actually coming back into games after having such a poor performance on certain sides and still finding some real place for yourself is just as impressive. And look how happy Stunner looks. He's almost smiling. No, he's not. He never smiles. Stunner is never pleased with anything. He's like a proud parent, really, just trying to be around the kids as they're happy. But yeah, good stuff from Cloud9. Hopefully we can see more from them down the line. This puts them in a very interesting position, though, and I can't wait to hear what they have to say about this down. I don't know. This is good to see from them. And I think TyLoo, God, I almost wish we'd seen another map just to see what else they have here.
And here's the thing, too, from TyLoo. It's a bit weird because of the fact that it's not the same issues on their T side that correlate to it. It's, like I said before, they just all of a sudden slow down and they go into a very predictable pattern on this T side for themselves. They solved the issue of, like, force buying that we saw in their first match, which, if I remember correctly, was against G2.
Yes.
And they were able to, like, not suffer from that. We didn't just see this wild spring of them coming back out, but overall, just a very slow pacing from them, and they never won a single round after they picked up the pistol and the 2 following. So with that, I believe we are going to throw things down to an interview on the stage. So take it away, Mitch.
Thank you very much, guys. I am here with, well, to be fair, you seem quite calm after that comeback there as well, but I suppose this is the stuff that gets you here in the first place, mate. Solid performance there as well. They hit their 13th round. You guys were a long way behind, and you switched up and you turned it on. Tell us about that.
Well, unfortunately, when you play for Cloud9, you get used to being down. So we're pretty used to coming back from those deficits, especially on cash. I don't know, a big part of our team, I've said it before, man, we seem to just play so below our level until either the pressure's on or until we get inspired by something. And, T side, I'm so irritated at some of the rounds that we played. Slummy's calling it well, but with like the finishing and how we take sites is so sloppy. And we've gone over these things, we know better. It's not a strat caller fault. It's literally just like us doing what we know we should do. TyLoo's a great team. They're up and coming on the scene, so it's great to play them. I thought they were going to beat us at one point. But as you said, we just kind of stayed in it and kind of kept our composure. Towards the end, Stu had some big rounds. Shroud had some big rounds. I had a couple good rounds. Everyone's getting their kills, Tyler, so yeah.
And we saw Stewie turn up and go full FPL mode there as well. I mean, that's the mental fortitude that makes champions, of course. So you guys there, really, really solid for you. Let's talk quickly about picking cash as well. Obviously, you have some information already. You've seen TyLoo play it twice. Was that the reasoning that you picked it? You thought you'd sort of read into it enough that you know how to counter?
Yeah, I mean, you read the forums and everyone's like, don't play them on cash. But the thing is if you look at their T side, everyone's like, oh, they have these crazy things. Well, their T side is pretty simple. They're pretty explosive. They don't do anything too wild. They group up a lot. They did one fake to A, which kind of caught us off guard, and we won the retake. Their CT side, if anything, is a little bit more unorthodox, but we still had good opportunities to win the round, didn't close it out. So when we watched the demo, we saw all that, and we said, it's either between that or Dust 2. And, I think they got to choose cash, so then it came down to that.
So let's talk about, slightly off topic here as well, you've got a newer face sat behind you guys as well. Obviously, Irakanji stepping in to more of a coaching role. Now, you played with him back in 1.6, way back, and it's kind of cool. We actually see it in NIP as well, this relationship between Get Right and Threat. They go way back, they've got a good rapport. What is it like, obviously, with Irakanji in the team now, and what is his, I guess, what is his role? I mean, what's he really bringing?
Well, he's helping us kind of focus on the things that we need to do to make sure we're ready, simply put. You know, he's helped a lot with pistol rounds specifically and anti-eco rounds and stuff like that. But mainly, you know, coach for our team. You know, leadership is something where I'm probably the most veteran guy on the team, but I'm not used to being so, like, the head leader of the team. I'm used to be kind of the right-hand man, enforcing the leader's stuff on the team, Sean Gary's in the past. So now it's just he's kind of helping us mature, I guess, as a unit. So if we don't have a coach, he just graduated from dental school, so he might be gone pretty soon. And you know, so we're just trying to mature a bit as a team, so you guys can have a consistent C9 to root for.
Well, there you have it. So far, so good for Cloud9. They do get over TyLoo in a very close one. Hey, Jordan, always a pleasure to have you up on stage, mate. Thanks for joining me. Now we're going to pass it over to our experts here as well to break that one down a little bit more. It went to the wire, but we got a decent game after all, Alex.
Awesome interview there from Mitch, actually getting a whole lot out of nothing, a lot of insight provided on C9 and their current state of affairs, and they have got themselves a big fan base here in the ESL Arena, Katowice. Vendetta, Metis. Metis, you look like a bit of a genius right now. If everyone knew what he was saying in the green room, he wouldn't look like such a genius going, I was gonna say TyLoo, but let's kind of review that. I mean, it does cover. We covered a lot of the bases in the interview, but 13-5 down. To be able to forge a comeback like that, surely you have to critique the team at 13.
Well, yeah, no, definitely. TyLoo had so many opportunities to close this out, and I think what Nothing actually mentioned, the fact that they became kind of one-dimensional on their T side. I think Blue alluded to it as well as he was throwing it over to Mitch. The fact that they got kind of static in what they were doing, and versus Immortals, they weren't too, I guess, experimental in how many strategies they pulled out and how many executes they had, but they executed them way better. They were much quicker about it and, well, just way more efficient. I'm still kind of boggled by the fact that we still see their A-takes every now and again. And we saw this versus Immortals too, but they weren't able to take advantage of it as Stewie did here. They don't smoke out for CT spawn almost ever when they do their A-takes, and I don't understand why.
Well, I mean, you saw the final round, right, where Stu gets 2 before the smoke comes in. I know that was really aggravating Blue.
Yeah, no, it's just weird because it's such a simple smoke. Everybody knows it, and after 2 people die, then they throw it down. So it's, I'm not sure if that's something they just kind of forget in the thick of things, but yeah. No, for the better part, it was a bit of a sloppy T-side execution coming in from TyLoo, but definitely a good job from Cloud9, and it was great to see Skadoodle having such a great CT side because he definitely showed the way for the NA team. Vince, have you got anything to add?
Just that Skadoodle, very, very poor first half. Yeah. I think 4 or 5 kills at most. Second half, he came out all gun swinging, and a lot of that is down to what Ben just mentioned, the lack of smokes in key hotspots where the AWPs can tee off from, like the car on A. And that's where we saw Skadoodle step it up several gears and go right up towards the top of the scoreboard. So fantastic performance by him.
Now, it's not often you actually see a team pick up a win when conceding both pistol rounds, right, Ben? How much of a rarity is this?
It's extremely rare. It's kind of like when you look at the stats for how many teams win a round when you go down a man. It's something ridiculous. So if a team gets an entry frag of a round, you oftentimes win up to 75% of those rounds. It's kind of similar with pistols as well, especially in best of ones, where that's such a big swing in the game. So I guess that just makes C9's performance all the more impressive because every round they got was not for free, as you'd usually look at some of the rounds following the pistol.
Big stuff from Cloud9, and that's going to be another game done and dusted here in the ESL Arena. We've got more to come, though, of course. That puts TyLoo. They're not down and out just yet. They're going to be sitting on 2 losses now, and we'll be playing tomorrow for a battle of survival up against some rather worthy opponents, Immortals, Dignitas, all piling up. Flip side in that list as well. Right, we're going to take a quick break. But when we do come back, we've got a bit more of a intriguing affair. I mean, we have Envious versus Splyce. It couldn't be more of a mismatch on paper, but Splyce have already demonstrated that they are here to play, and they've done it with smiles on their faces. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll see what Splyce can do versus Envy.